Hello fabulous ones, welcome back to my channel. I am Marlo Keenan, and if you're new here, welcome to the fabulous family. Today, you already saw the title, I am reviewing this brand new Café Marc Jacobs foundation. We will not be playing any games. We're going to talk about the application. We're going to talk about the wearability. We're going to talk about the finish. We're going to talk about all of that. So if you want to see how well this foundation works on my dry, mature skin, then continue to watch. But don't forget, before you leave, subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads, child. Now, let's get right into the video. All right. Let's get right into it. Yes, I got the new Marc Jacobs foundation. We're not going to be playing any games. We're going to get right into it. This foundation retails for $39. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let me go ahead and read you some of the claims. It says that it's a 2-in-1 caffeine infused concealer and foundation with natural look and full coverage in all day wear to visibly brighten and re-energize all skin types. Now this foundation says that it's full coverage, like it says, natural finish, all of that jazz. But the highlight ingredient is caffeine, and it says it visibly re-energizes and revives the skin, oat extract that calms the skin, and 5 forms of coconut. Not 1, but 5. Hydrate and nourish skin and abundance of vitamins and nutrients. Now, keep in mind that this is, free of parabens, formaldehydes, blah, 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 blah. All the claims, there you have it. Now, this is what the foundation packaging looks like. I actually like it. It's super nice and sleek and all of that jazz. But this really does look like a concealer bottle. It's really nice and heavy. It's glass. It looks like it's also, frosted. It has a pretty good weight, but it looks like a concealer in terms of its size. Well, it looks like a little bit bigger concealer, you know what I'm saying? Like the Too Faced, but not that big, but not as small as a regular concealer product. In fact, it's only 0.54 fluid ounces of products. Now, in a regular foundation, you get like at least 1, right? So, it does have a doe-foot applicator and all of that jazz, which I do like. I don't mind that. Clinique actually has the 2-in-1 foundation that's like that, so I don't mind it. It's only going on my face, but I have to tell you that for $39, depending on when we're gonna get into how it works, I think it's okay for Marc Jacobs. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's like a total bad price. So this concealer slash foundation has 30 shades, pretty decent range, you know what I'm saying, for Marc Jacobs anyway, I guess. Now the shades for me that I got was obviously in the shade range of 10, and there were actually 3 that I really couldn't choose from. It's just so hard to buy foundation online. I got 3 of them to try out, and the shades that I got are 300, 310, and 330. So I swatched them on my face, obviously one by one, and the first one was 300. Now, as I kind of just striped it right there on the face, I was like, okay, this is definitely a warm undertone shade, in which it matches exactly the description on the Sephora website. And the next one I swatched was 310. And 310 was a medium tan with a neutral undertone, and you could definitely see the difference between the two right off the bat. And then the next one was, of course, 330, and that was tan with warm undertones. As I, striped it right there down the neck, you could definitely see that it was much more rich and much more darker. So, of course, I wasn't going to use that. So I could have made both 300 and 310 work, but I decided to go with 300 because I just like, naturally I have warm undertones, yellow undertones, so I wanted to stick with that category. So of course, you guys know I go in first with my concoction of my Pond's Cold Cream and BB Illumination by Gerard Cosmetics as my primer. You know, I always like to do that. I need the moisturization. You know, I have dry skin, and it just gives that beautiful shine to the skin, especially going in with the so-called concealer slash foundation full coverage majigga. So, you know, I had to prep very well. So as you can see through the consistency of this foundation, it really looks like a concealer. Like, it's thick, it wasn't running at all, it felt creamy, it looked like a concealer to me, straight up. And you guys know I use a beauty sponge on one side, and as I was applying the product to my skin, again, it felt like a concealer. I can't get away from that point for some reason right now. So as I was applying it, of course, I, you know, blended it out with the beauty sponge, and it wasn't difficult to blend out, but I did have to work at it a little bit more than usual because the foundation itself is such a, you know, of a thicker formula. So, you know, as I'm pouncing away, I did know that I had to kind of blend and push and spread that foundation into the skin a little bit more so than I do with my other foundations. I definitely feel that it was like medium to full coverage. You know, I wanted to go ahead and put a little bit more because the first application, you can still see my freckles, so I just put a little bit more on top to see if I could cover them entirely, and it did kind of sort of, you can still see them, but this foundation definitely is natural, but it's such a weird consistency for me because it feels almost like a concealer but not as heavy. So as I started on the other side, of course, I did the exact same thing, applied it. This time I went in with a brush, my Sephora brush, and it blended out fine. In fact, I felt like it blended out easier, and I think that was because I used the brush, and the brush is more heavy duty than the beauty sponge, and I was able to push and press that product into my skin. And it also did render a more fuller coverage than it did in comparison with the beauty sponge on the other side. So as I kept on blending out, it didn't take long or anything like that. You know, it was easy in that, again, I used a brush, but I just feel like it was super creamy. Like the foundation itself is super creamy. It was a perfect match for me. You know, I did enjoy the way it spread. It didn't feel heavy to the skin or anything like that. And I did like the finish of it. So after I applied the foundation and all that jazz, you know, you guys know I usually like to leave it alone because I want to see how it's going to act on its own, but I was going out, I needed to kind of do a full face. So what I did is I went back, I put my concealer on, I added some bronzer, had it the highlight and all of that jazz. But let me tell you, like when I was going to do, you know, the rest of my eye makeup and all that stuff, like I felt like, you know, the foundation itself, it just didn't dry down fast enough. Like I felt like, even right now, I know it's dry, but I felt like it took a long time to dry down, to the point where I had to use a setting powder all over my face. I used my Sephora Micro Smooth powder to kind of just set it so it could not feel so kind of like wet and tacky, if you will. I just felt that it took a long time to dry down. And then of course I did the rest of my makeup. But let's just go ahead and talk about everything from the beginning to the end. Again, the application was really, really good. I felt like in the beginning, like it was sitting on top of my skin. I felt like it wasn't totally absorbent into the skin, but it was very strange because when I went back into my beauty space and I, you know, finished the skin, I'm like, oh my God, like this really does look good. It just took a long time to dry down. But you know, in terms of the sponge and the brush, it did blend out. I would probably prefer the brush over the sponge with this foundation, for sure. The coverage is definitely, you know, medium to full for sure. Do I feel that it is a natural look? I do. I really do. But again, before I put on all the rest of the products, I felt that it was kind of sitting on my skin just a little bit. It took some time to for me to feel like it sunk in. And I did feel like it emphasized some of my texture. It was very strange, you know, but after I put on the rest of the makeup, I felt that it looked beautiful. And the products that I used on top of the foundation worked great with the foundation. Like, there was no streakiness, there was no skipping. It blended very well into each other. So I really do like that, because sometimes foundation does not play well in the sandbox with other products, as you guys know. So I had put the foundation on, I think, I don't know, it was like 1:30, 2 o'clock, went out, like went to eat, all of that. It's cold here in Georgia, so I didn't sweat or anything like that. And I got back here, it's like now, I don't know, oh my God, it's 6 o'clock. So it was a good 5 hours, and it wore pretty good. Like, I felt as the hours went on, as my natural juices, as I say, came seeping through, it really blended the product into the skin in which I liked, you know. But it's hard for me to tell if the other products that I have on top is making this foundation look and feel the way it does now. I like it, I really do. I feel like I look great in natural lighting. When I was outside, I'm like, oh my God, my skin just looks really flawless. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I really do think that it looks great, but I just feel the texture thing is bugging me a little bit. Like, I feel like it's emphasizing a little bit of my texture, and I just can't get past that. This really feels like a concealer. Like, I could literally go and buy another shade, like a concealer shade, and use this for concealer. I mean, it does claim it's a concealer slash foundation, but to use it as a foundation, it just felt like I'm putting concealer all over my face, and I'm not used to that. I know people do use concealer all over their face. I'm not used to that, and I think it's just strange for me. So I'm gonna continue to use this foundation. Again, I do like it, because I mean, it's a perfect match. I feel like it looks great. Like right now, I really, really do. There's no cracking or anything like that. And you know what is so funny? Although it feels like a concealer, goes on like a concealer, it doesn't necessarily give you that full coverage or thickness or heaviness as you would think a concealer would, putting it all over your face. So I don't know, I think there's some sorcery going on in here for the most part, but all in all, I do like it. Do I recommend this foundation? I do. I definitely recommend for you guys to try it. I'm definitely going to keep it. It's not like I'm going to return it or anything like that. What I am going to do is use it again for like maybe, you know, a few more days, and I'm going to come back to the comment section and pin a comment to tell you what has been happening as I continue to use it, because I so believe that sometimes that first time you use a foundation may not be the most accurate impression or interpretation of it. I feel like sometimes you have to use products for a little while and get used to it, you know. So other than that, I absolutely love it. There's no fragrance, no nothing, it doesn't smell or anything like that. So tell me what you guys think. Tell me if you guys are gonna try this foundation slash concealer, and of course don't forget to comment down below, give me a thumbs up, do all the business, okay child? And until my next video, you guys know I love you so much, okay? Bye bye now.